Dame time, Dame plays. We're talking Damian Lillard's future. The Blazers drafted Scoot Henderson in last week's NBA draft, sparking discussions of a rebuild in Portland and casting doubt on Lillard's future with the team. You know, in a recent Instagram post, Jimmy Butler posted a clip of Lillard's Moneyball song off his Big Dollar album, sparking rumors of Dame to Miami. And then Lillard was seen on the Instagram Live from a club vibing to Will Smith's Miami song. Damian Lillard's agent, Aaron Goodwin, went on to say, quote, Damian's not disrespectful. He's not an instigator. The music, just a coincidence, end quote. All right, so let's talk here. We got Wendy with us. Nick, I'll start with you, though, Wendy. Give us the very latest on Damian Lillard's future.
Well, Dame's been overseas. He was in Europe, and the plan was for him to return over the weekend and then speak with his closest advisors as they decide whether they're going to take any action at all at the beginning of this week. He's got a little bit of a time crunch here, to be honest with you, because, you know, the Trailblazers came out on Friday, and General Manager Joe Cronin made it clear their position has not changed. Despite going with Scoot Henderson and not trading the number 3 pick, he hopes to not trade Dame Lillard, doesn't have any interest in doing so, hopes that Dame will allow, Scoot some time to play with him, watch him in Summer League, go through training camp and see how that develops, and then watch what the Blazers do in July. The problem is that for the suitors that may be interested in Dame will need to make decisions and act now if they're going to put the best possible package forward and then eventually the best possible team around him if Dame would like to be somewhere else in Portland. And we don't need any social media posts here. In this particular case, Dame's position has been very clear. He said clearly and on the record he wanted to play with more veterans, not more young players. The Blazers have gotten young players and said they're not going to trade him. The ball is extremely clearly in his court.
You know, it's interesting because earlier this month I chatted with Lillard on Showtime's My Last Stand podcast, and he gave me his thoughts on his feelings on a rebuild in Portland. Listen.
I love the organization I play for. I love the city I live in, and I'm going to give them every opportunity to give me or give us what we need to have a true chance to compete for that. And, you know, if that's something that isn't possible or something that can't get done, like I said, then we got a different conversation to be had.
A different conversation to be had. So, Nick Friedel, it begs the question, what must Lillard do if he wants out of Portland?
Brian, he's got to say, I want out, and if he really wants to go to Miami, he's got to push to make that happen. Because right now, Tyler Hero, a couple first-round picks, that's probably not enough to get Portland to go like, okay, Dave, we love you, but we'll just make it happen. He's got to say, I have given you everything I've got in my professional career. This is the place where I want to land. This is the place where I feel like I'm closest to a championship. If Lillard really wants to make the partnership with Jimmy Butler and Bam Adebayo work, something else he told you, if he were to go somewhere, then he's got to be the one to force the action. And historically, that is not a game that Dame Lillard usually wants to get into. But if he really wants to win and he feels like now's the time to make a change towards the title, this is what he's got to do. Because I think we all agree, no matter how good Scoot Henderson is, no matter how much those young pieces may improve in Portland, they are not close right now to where he wants to be.
Hey, Wendy, is that where, I guess, the standoff sits? Because when I was sitting there talking with Dame, you got the sense that he was like, look, I don't want to go into the front office and say, get me up out of here. I want it to be something that they do because of my loyalty to them. But then on the other side, you've got this new GM. The last thing he wants to do is be the guy to say, I'm the one who traded Dame Lillard. So it's like a standoff. Something's got to happen, Wendy.
Yeah, they were on the same page, I feel like, at the end of the season when they felt like they were going to make those draft picks available. But Joe Cronin was pretty transparent on this. He just didn't think there was a trade out there that could have made them significantly better as the way that drafting Scoot Henderson could. And he pointed something else out in his press conference on Friday. Having Scoot Henderson on a rookie salary contract is better to build around than having to go spend a bunch of money on a big-time player. All of those things are absolutely, completely true. But none of them fit the timeline that Lillard set out very clearly on the record in April. And so the ball, again, has been thrown into Dame's court. He didn't want that to happen. He did not want to look like the bad guy here, but he has been put in position by the team whether it's fair or not, that he's probably either going to have to be the bad guy or run it back again with a team that is essentially rebuilding with some young players around him.
What do you think? Does he stay or does he go?
Brian, if you want to be the bad guy, sometimes that's the way you get to a title. I think ultimately, right now, if we're reading the tea leaves, that he stays because all he has ever told anybody who has asked him is that I want to be in Portland and I want to win here. But if you want to win a title, it's not going to be in Portland. They are not good enough. And if you want to win a championship, if you want to play at the highest level, sometimes you have to do things that you are not comfortable with. And for Dame Lillard, that is being the bad guy as far as public support goes. But I would tell you, having been around that team and been up in Portland for off and on for years, he has built up so much goodwill that if he went to the front office and said, you know what, I'm out, I want to go win somewhere else, I think that fan base and the league as a whole would support him and say, I understand, it's time to get you where you want to go. I think Kyrie just wants to get paid, and he wants all the money and respect that comes with that. I think ultimately he stays in Dallas because they're going to give him every dollar, especially after a deal that does not look so hot right now. I think he ultimately lands with the Mavericks and he continues partnership with Luka.
Wendy, should Brook Lopez stay with the Bucks or go?
Well, this is a guy who there will be some moves out there to try to steal him away from Milwaukee. I don't think this is locked down. I do think Houston is a serious suitor. They've got $60 million in cap space. But I think Brook Lopez would like to stay there. He wants to win. He's in his mid-30s. I think if they give him a representative contract that equals his market and they can afford it, I think he stays, but it is not a done deal.
Okay, Nick, should James Harden stay with the Sixers or should he go?
Right? Does he want to win? Because that's the question. If he wants to win, he'll stay in Philly. They'll find a middle ground. They'll pay him. If he's not so sure that winning is at the top of the priority list, he'll go to Houston and have that reunion. I think ultimately he stays. They give it one more run, find out what happens with Embiid, and you try to move forward from there.
You know, where do we stand with James Harden and his future in Philly? What do you think? Where is that?
Well, the 76ers have obviously been very focused on this for months now. Daryl Morey has been working all angles. There is a confident tone in people's discussions with the Sixers in recent days that they're going to be able to get this done. But I don't sense that it is a done deal as yet. I don't sense that there's a final decision that's been reached. If it has, it's been kept pretty quiet. As they've looked at other things that they have to do, the Sixers have a fair amount of business to do this summer. Some free agent moves. They got to try to get the contract extension with Tyrese Maxey. They got to make a decision what to do with Tobias Harris, whether they extend him, trade him, or just keep him on the last year of his deal. All of that is taking a backseat to getting Harden locked in. Obviously, again, we have the Houston Rockets lingering here. Meanwhile, the Rockets have been linked to many other players in sources that I've talked to. I don't think the Rockets are banking on getting Harden. I think the Sixers are, and I'll just sort of leave it at that right now.
So here's my thing, though, Nick. If Harden comes back and Philly disappoints again, and I'm talking like get knocked out of the playoffs in the second round or what happens then? What do you think happens then?
So if Philly does exactly what everybody seems to think they're going to continue to do.
Exactly.
If that happens, Brian, what's going to happen is it's not going to be a question about Harden. The question that is bubbling underneath the surface is, what happens with Embiid? If they bring Harden back and they say, all right, let's try it one more time. We've got Nick Nurse in here, Doc's out, change of pace, change of voice, and they still get knocked out in the second round. At what point does Joel Embiid stand up and go, you know what, guys, it's just not going to work here? And I can tell you a team right here, right now, that would love nothing more than to package every asset they got to go and land Joel Embiid in the future. And it's the Knicks.
Wow.
And I feel like if Harden doesn't make it work, and I don't believe as we're sitting here, even if he comes back, that he is that type of star that can make it happen at this stage in his career, then the Knicks and every other team are going to line up a year from right now and say, hey, Joel, we're ready. We are ready to win with you. We're ready to give you the change of pace that you're seeking. Philly's not going to make it happen. They have their roster in place. It's just not good enough. So I think a lot is riding on this season. But I would be really surprised if some sort of Sixers turnaround is on the horizon. I think we're going to be sitting here a year from right now going, is Embiid in play for the rest of the league?
Wendy, give me your thoughts.